Hey, what's up there, YouTube friends? It's Grumpy Gamer Dad here, and this is part 2 of my The Child slash Baby Yoda slash Grogu slash Mandalorian pin board. In episode 1, if you didn't see it, I covered the reasons why I need to make a new pin board. Simply put, this is my current pin board for the child pins, and as I showed in the other video, this full bag is pins that need to be added to said pin board. This one that I have now is maxed out, so it's time to make a new one. Now, I could just do something, like this, only bigger, and stick them on a boring cork board. But that's not what I do here. I like to spruce them up. I like to plus my cork boards and my pin boards. So we are going to take this cork board that I purchased at Home Goods. What I'm also going to use is a can of black spray paint. So I'm going to paint the pin board black. But once it's black, what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm not going to just leave it that way. I bought this stencil on Etsy, and I'm going to then paint that stencil, Mandalorian Mythosaur, onto the corkboard once it's dry. After all this is done, we're going to put the pins on there, plus the new pins that I have, and all will be great, I hope. Until Season 3 and more pins come out. Alright, so I came to the outside of the house because, well, I'm going to use spray paint here. I've got a can of flat black, and I'm going to paint this board. I'm not going to do this in the garage because I don't want to paint fumes in there. So I'm outside, which is why you hear my neighbor's lawnmower. Of course, I would have to choose a day where it's like 100 plus degrees outside, but hopefully that means this will dry faster. I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to take a look at it, see if it needs a second coat. I'm pretty sure it does. Touch up any spots that I may have missed, and then let it dry again, and then we'll be ready to stencil the Mythosaur on. Okay, now that my cork board has been base dried, I can lay down the Mythosaur template. Fortunately, since it's a cork board, I can tack it into place so it doesn't move while I'm painting. You do want the template to be down pretty taut so it doesn't move around on you. I'm going to start with this color here. It's an acrylic red, and I got a little sponge brush. I'm just going to start to sponge the paint onto the template here. I'm using a paper towel just to make sure I don't make a mess, and also to wipe some of the extra paint off. As you can see, the template worked pretty well. You've got that basic Mythosaur shape there to it. It's somewhat faded and inconsistent, but it's an old symbol, and we're going to put pins on it anyway. I decided that I wasn't 100% happy with a solid black frame, so I'm going to do a silver metallic dry brush. A dry brush is basically where you dip the brush in a little bit of paint, wipe most of it off with a paper towel, and then apply a very light coat to the edges of the frame. I really just want to get those raised edges as much as possible and give it kind of a metallic look. I must say I'm very happy with the progress. I'm actually glad that I decided to paint the frame so it didn't look all black. There were some inconsistencies in the spray paint too. It got shiny in spots. One thing I will say, I should have said this in the beginning, is make sure you have the orientation before you apply the stencil correct. I knew I wanted to hang it this way, but I made sure that the hooks and everything in the back, the mounting gear, was in the right spot to hang it the way I wanted it to. Now we just need to wait for the paint to dry. Now that the pin board is done, dry, and ready to be used, I get the arduous task of adding all of those pins to this board. If only I can speed up time somehow. That was just all the pins from the old pin board. Now all these new additions need to go on. In the end, I opted out of using this huge 8-inch tall pin only because, again, it's a magnet. It would require hot gluing the magnets onto the pin board, and that means if I ever decided to move stuff around as my collection grows, I might end up actually damaging the pin board. So I decided maybe this will go on the refrigerator in the kitchen instead. I'm sure my wife would like that. Here's a final look at that finished Mandalorian Grogu pin board. I call it Mandalorian because there are pins with Mando and there are pins with other characters from the Mandalorian show on there. It's mainly focused on Grogu, however. I tried to avoid putting pins in that center mythosaur, although that will be available real estate if the collection grows that high. And of course I have this big space here that I had carved out for that magnet pin, so that could be filled in another time too. And there it is, mounted on the wall. Looks actually pretty good, especially when it's next to my old school Yoda artwork. Well, there you go. That is the completed pin board for my Mandalorian series of pins. That's all the time I've got. I hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at GrumpyGamerDad. Until next time, this is Grumpy Gamer Dad saying, stick around for more Disney pins, and may the Force be with you. Also, stick around because I have a future planned video for another pin board for my Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas pin collection. I'm going to do something similar, but on a smaller scale, and this one I'm actually going to hand paint, so it should be interesting at the very least.